Ocean and Hanwha Aerospace are teaming up, which makes a lot of sense. But they're teaming up to create a proton exchange membrane fuel cell. I think the best acronym for this is PEMFC, as Brian and I were talking about earlier, for a 3,000-ton KSS-III submarine aimed at the export market. Now, this fuel cell is actually going to enable submarines to stay submerged for over 2 weeks, of course, offering high efficiency, reduced noise, etc. The KSS-III is South Korea's homegrown submarine with 3 Batch 1 vessels delivered and 3 Batch 2 units under construction right now. But this PEMFC technology is actually generating electricity through a hydrogen and oxygen reaction, which I guess is going to have a quicker startup, low operating temperatures, high power density, 0 carbon emissions. I mean, this is huge, especially for submarine technology.
I mean, how cool does that sound? Proton exchange membrane fuel cell.
Yeah.
Electricity generated from a chemical reaction between hydrogen and oxygen. This does sound very futuristic and fancy. It's cool because this is a air non-essential propulsion system that can actually let the sub stay submerged for 2 weeks or more than 2 weeks and have less noise, less vibration. I mean, Red October called and it's jealous. So I want to start with what I believe is the #1 PLM area to focus on here. Obviously, a change in propulsion systems can affect just about every area of the process, but I think the most important one is going to be looking at design and testing. I mean, this is basically a new technology that's going to be submerged for long periods of time, so it needs to be thoroughly tested, not just by itself, but with all the systems it touches, the rest of the systems of the sub, make sure everything is good for long periods of submersion. What do you think, Andrew?
I think I need to press myself off mute for a start. Between the coughs. Welcome back from our holidays. I think we're on the same page.
Oh, actually. No, we're starting off agreeing.
Well, you kind of intermingle design and test with integration and da-da-da-da. So I'm coming in from an integration perspective, which you've got to test. Integrating new fuel cell technology into a submarine's digital thread. I mean, you've got ultra complex design requirements. You've got the collaboration across these two businesses. And I know they're kind of essentially the same business, but they're still got to collaborate with different teams going on. You've got all of the regulatory and quality compliance issues to consider. You've got ongoing change management. Boom. That's it. I mean, I think we're on the same page. I think we've got the same challenge. We've got to integrate it, and then you got to test to make sure the integration's working.
And when you're doing something like that, I mean, you're basically talking about how all of this really touches the entirety of the process. So,
yep.
You know, but this is looking at what, like starting with the detailed requirements model for, I still love the acronym that Greg is saying here, PEMFC, PEMFC. Yep. But start with the detailed requirements for the integration using probably some model-based systems engineering tools here.
You got to have that MBSE thread all the way through it to offer that scalability. Make sure you've got that requirements traceability. You've got to map all of those requirements to the downstream systems, your propulsion, your cooling, your storage. You've got to build your feedback loops in to make sure that it's always being that change management's taking place.
Which leads into my favorite area of using the CAD for the designs and integration into the architecture of the whole sub. Which I mean, we could talk for hours about just the cool stuff you can do there, but we'll let you continue.
Yeah, you're right. And then you've got your design, you've got your validation, you've got your product structure with your BOM that needs to be all integrated in that whole digital thread. Ultimately, I think aligning this PEMFC manufacturing timelines with that whole batch 2 KSS-III model that's coming through. And for that, we're going to be using advanced planning and scheduling, and then making sure that the testing and the certifications in place throughout your whole manufacturing line. So you've got your traceability going on as well. So a full end-to-end critical thread needs to be in place here with Hanwha.
And stuff like that really requires software capabilities that did not exist, a decade ago. Like what we have now lets you take that entire process, that one source of truth, and really integrate it all together to get to these kind of results.
Yep.
And
What's
as a
next,
brief pause, I do love the new pronunciation of, what was it? You said it wasn't regulatory. I forget your pronunciation, but we got
regulatory.
Yeah, regulatory.
It's great.
Next time it'll be different. See you next week.